Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Peter. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of review, re-review, topic, reaction, list, ranking, out of the blueness, commentary, randomness, whatever it may be, you can send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, he wanted my thoughts on like a top 50, which is a lot, of horror films. Now, that's tough for me to do because, number one, I know there's always things I'm going to forget. Not because I think it was a bad film, but just, it's hard for me to remember all the movies I've seen because I've seen so many. Number two, with the list, any list is all about personal taste. Personal taste of what you liked. You can watch a film that's heavily flawed, but you enjoy it more than a movie that's more articulate because of some either emotional or some kind of moments that really make you laugh or get your adrenaline pumping, or just again, personal taste. That's with every list. Every list out there, whether professional creates it or whether little old me does one, it's about, what you personally are into, what you're looking for, how that particular film grabbed you, all sorts of stuff. And also with this type of list, when you get to like number 20 or 30, you're like, okay, maybe I like this film more, or maybe I like that film more, or if it's 2 days later, I'll like that film more. So, especially when, again, you get to the 30s and 40s, if you ask me the list a week from now, there might be little changes. That's what I mean. So, but this is the general idea. I guess that's the best way to put it. Also, with horror, my view of horror is more broad because people will not put Aliens or Predator or Predator 2 or other stuff as horror. They're action. I put them as horror because I see like a xenomorph, chest burster, acid on someone's face, Predator skins people, like End of Days Arnold is still the devil who will punch someone's face, literally punch a hole through someone's face. I still look at that as a bit of horror. Because that's the thing, there's not many films that scare me. I'm not saying that to be put on some prop of bragging. It's just a lot of films don't scare me. I really don't get scared by horror movies. Because real life is scarier. Just real life is a lot scarier than anything I see in a movie. Like, I just hope to be entertained. So again, I'm having that weird thing. I don't go into horror movies to get scared because I don't get scared. I go into horror movies to be entertained. And that's in the eye of the beholder. Personal preference. So again, I know a lot of these be like, well, that's not horror, but again, it's my list. And it seems like a lot of times I really like action horror stuff. And if you're wondering, why isn't that on the list? Well, just again, this is my initial thoughts on it. And I don't know if I can go too in deep on this, otherwise it'd be like a 2-hour video. But number one, Aliens. I think it's a classic. One of my favorite films of all time. Love Aliens. What more can be said? Number two, Predator 2. Love Predator 2. You liked it even more than the first one. The first Predator is my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger film. It's one of my top 20 movies of all time. Predator. But Predator 2, I think it's more underrated. I don't think it gets it deserves a lot more than it's gotten. And I think as a kid, I watched Predator so many times. But Predator 2, I watch even more. And I love the fast pace of Predator 2. I love this relentless pacing. I love that it starts and it never lets go. I love Arnold as Dutch. But Danny Glover, it was so cool to see him play this unique. People say it's like Murtaugh, but I think this is different than Murtaugh. I love his lines, the dialogue. but you just cut off my dick, you shoved it up my ass. I love a lot of stuff on Predator 2. The finale is exciting, where you go through where they try to, Gary Busey they try to freeze the creature kills everybody, but then it wants to, and that's another thing I like about Predator 2, is that the Predator takes a personal disliking to Danny Glover from the get-go. He purposely stalks Danny Glover's character. That's why he goes and kills Danny Glover's partner on purpose. Steals his fucking necklace to put it in a graveyard so Danny Glover can see it. As like, I got your friend, you're next. Come and get me. I like that personal, I don't want to say connection, but that vendetta. I thought that was a cool addition. And it did what a sequel should. It built the world, but it didn't ruin the first one. There's similar parts to the first film, but it was its own movie. I love the city idea. I love the cityscape, the concrete jungle. I love that it's like a Lethal Weapon movie, but it's with the Predator. I think that's really cool. And like the last 30-40 minutes I absolutely adore. So I love Predator 2 to death. Number 3, Leviathan. I had to think about it. You know what? I keep talking about Leviathan so much. I really personally love Leviathan. Again, I look at it. Jar Carpenter's The Thing's on the list. Yes, if you look at Jar Carpenter's The Thing, technically it's a better film than Leviathan. In terms of direction, in terms of... And I love The Thing. But just this, personally, again, it's that portion of my brain, psychological, I don't know why, that if a film's underrated, it makes me like it even more. And just with this movie, I love the dialogue, I love the characters, I love the setting. I could watch this film plenty of times and still have a ball. I like the effects by Stan Winston. I love Peter Weller's character. I love the lines of dialogue. Like I said, you know, the final ending, knocking Meg Foster in the face, feel better. A lot better. I mean, I get so much entertainment out of it that I think it's very underrated. It puts it higher on the list for me. Number 4, The Blob remake, 1988. Again, criminally underrated remake. I just don't like that there's a sequel bait ending because there was never a sequel. I wish they cut that out. But you know, Kevin Dillon, the gory deaths and effects, and people get pulverized by the blob. They get turned to a wishbone from the blob. I love that stuff. Number 5, Tremors. Love the blue-collar characters of Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. They're a great team. I love the underground monster designs by Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. It's funny, but it's also a good creature feature film. Number 6, Predator. Classic film. If it bleeds, we could kill it. That's a film I watched immensely on VHS. Again and again and again. I remember the trailers. It was a teaser, Revenge of the Nerds Part 2, that looked like the Poltergeist 2 teaser. And there was a trailer for The Pickup Artist with Robert Downey Jr. and Molly Ringwald. That's how many times I watched Predator on VHS. I remember the fucking trailers on the VHS. Badass group of actors working well together. The jungle setting worked for that film. The design by the Predator by Stan Winston. John McTiernan direction. Love Predator. Number 7, John Carpenter's The Thing. Classic. Great suspense, Rob Bottin effects. Again, I would say, like Leviathan, I would say I like the characters more as a group. But I like the cast of The Thing, but Leviathan, I like more of the dialogue and the connection of the characters. A little bit more. But again, The Thing is a classic. Number 8, the 1990 Jacob's Ladder. I'm not going to give away the ending, but I think it's Tim Robbins' one of his best performances. It's a very heartfelt film. It's a very psychological film. And it's one of the inspirations for the Silent Hill video games. This, that's another film I saw a lot on VHS. And I think I first saw the trailer on the Punisher Dolph Lundgren VHS tape. Yeah, love Jacob's Ladder. Number 9, Dawn of the Dead, the 70s one. My favorite film from the 70s. My favorite zombie film of all time. I love Dawn of the Dead. I love the comic book aesthetic. It feels like a comic book brought to life. I love the mall setting. Ken Foray is a badass. It's that... Even as a kid, I'm like, man, what would I do if I lived in a mall? That'd be really cool. And I was able to fulfill that watching Dawn of the Dead. As good social commentary with the way the shoppers, they're still adamant of the mall, even after death. Consumerism. Which you don't have much malls nowadays, but you just say the same thing for online. But, yeah, Dawn of the Dead was a movie of its time, because again, malls are not really a thing anymore, but like I said, I love the look of the old school mall. It's just a great setting for a movie. And a good score. Dun, da 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 da. Bum. I'm doing a shitty job of it. Number 10, The Hitcher from 1986. Wonderful performance by Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell. There's a lot of depth into that when you look into the back and forth between him and C. Thomas Howell. Is he teaching C. Thomas Howell a lesson of how to be a man? Is he... like, what is his motivation? You could pontificate on it. What do you want? You're a smart kid. You'll figure that out. And he gives like these pennies and he puts it on C. Thomas Howell's head, eyes. Almost as if this is the change if you want to take the ride to hell. Or I want to see if you're as tough. Maybe he's a guy, Rutger Hauer's character is a guy who wants to die and he wants someone willing to kill him. Because he won't kill himself, but he wants someone to see if he could take him out. You could think about that and it makes it even more interesting of a movie. As beautifully photographed. I think Robert Harmon, Eric Red, the director and writer, did a wonderful job on The Hitcher. The fact that it still doesn't have a US Blu-ray is fucking criminal to me. I know you can get Blu-ray overseas, but the fact in the US there's never... I think it's fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Of course, with rights. I don't know who owns the rights, I guess they don't either. But that's number 10, The Hitcher. So it's Aliens, Predator 2, Leviathan, The Blob remake, Tremors, Predator, The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, Jacob's Ladder 1990, the original Dawn of the Dead, and The Hitcher from 1986 are my top 10 favorite horror films. Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, personal favorite of mine. I love the creature feature. I love the setting and the mill. It's dirty, it's sweaty, atmospheric. I love the creature design. I think the creature looks really cool. It's this like rat bat type creature. I love the catacombs underneath. I like the cast. The villain, the human villain you just love to hate. Bravo. That's your teacher. Star Search. When's the last time you've been to a graveyard? Like his accent, Stephen Mott. Brad Dourif, it's sad that he's not in the film more, but he was when the few bits he had, he made it work. I like the lead guy. Like I said, I love the atmosphere and the feeling of just dirty drudgery in that fucking mill. It's a great setting for a creature, and you have a creature that looks really cool. You also have a very creepy, spooky, subtle score. But number 13, Maximum Overdrive, because Maximum Overdrive is a lot of fucking fun. AC/DC, Emilio Estevez, blowing the shit out of killer semi-trucks, some with Green Goblin heads, saying, calling it a motherfucker. You got kids being flattened by machines and construction vehicles, while AC/DC tries to do the psycho music. Little kids getting rolled over. You got killer ice cream trucks, you got killer lures, you got people getting electrocuted by arcade machines. Like, this is just a load of insane coke-fueled fun. I love Maximum Overdrive. Sincerely love it. Number 14, End of Days. I saw it in the theater. I always enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite Arnold films. I love that he got to be... He was in Horror with Predator, but it was nice to see him return to that. Fight the devil. Gabriel Byrne's very entertaining as the devil. Arnold, you want to fuck with me? Y'all fucking crowd boy compared to me. A crowd boy. And Arnold used to shoot the shit out of the devil. Blow it up with a grenade launcher. While the devil will go to this person and punch a hole through his fucking head. Well, I mean, why that film... And Arnold delivers a good dramatic performance too. As a man who lost his family, and he lost his faith, and he regains it by the end. I love End of Days. Never understood the hate for it. Never did. Like, if I think of Arnold vs. the Devil, this is what I want. Number 15, Split Second. Personal favorite of mine. Yes, it could do with a bit more action. But I like the camaraderie between him and Neil Duncan. I love their banter. I love the creature. It does look like Venom from Spider-Man comics, if done practically. Yeah, the logic of what the creature is still even confuses me, and I've seen the film multiple times. But I like the atmosphere in the wet streets of London. There's a global warming. Again, it has another great score that's fitting. The finale's action-packed, and that's satisfying. But it was great to see Rutger Hauer play a good guy, and very interesting character of Harley Stone. Hyped up on coffee and sugar and chocolate. Paranoid. Another great Rutger Hauer performance. I miss the guy, I really do. Number 16, Deep Rising. Great creature feature. Yes, the CGI does not hold up the best, but I like the design of the creatures. I love the setting on this ocean liner, dead in the water, and I like the cast. Treat Williams, great to see him in the lead in this kind of film. Stephen Sommers definitely used the budget well. Because yes, there's CG creatures, but there's a lot of practical and it's action and set pieces. Like in the third act, when Treat Williams and Fonda Johnson, the whole room, you have actual practical bid pieces moving all across, sliding around as this creature reveals. That's mixing practical with CG. You have two people actually on... I keep saying jet ski, but it's not jet ski. I forget the actual term of what they're writing. You have CG creature chasing them, but they're in a real corridor, real water, shotgun, blowing open the doors. It's very fun popcorn entertainment. Again, a very fun creature feature. Love Deep Rising. What are you looking at? And that's number 16. Number 17, Watchers 2. I still wish these had a Blu-ray. I mean, it might... Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Watchers made the list, but I do like Watchers. But Watchers 2, I love Mark Singer. It's my favorite role he's done. I know most would say the Beastmaster, but I really like him in this. Film in my childhood I watched a lot. I just clicked with me. I liked the guy bonding with the dog, and like this was the kind of creature feature I would watch back in the day on VHS tape as a kid. Enjoy the simplicity. You're a badass hero with unloading on a creature with a shotgun. I like the characters. Like, this is kind of I don't think it got theatrical. Probably went direct to video, but like, this is the kind of direct to video horror film I would watch back in the day and quite enjoy. And maybe it's nostalgia. That's a part of it too. But 17, 18, Jaws, classic. 19, Evil Dead 2, very fun. 20, From Dusk Till Dawn, my favorite vampire film. Love the George Clooney, my favorite role he's done. I mean, the finale where you get Harvey Keitel with the shotgun with the crosses, and George Clooney's got that drill, the Ramblers, let's get rambling. A lot of fun with Frondell Stallone. 21, Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Love that. Love Rennie Harlan's energetic direction. Love Lisa Wilcox. I could relate to her as a daydreamer. And for her, you see how she's a shy, and throughout the film she becomes more emboldened and come out of her shell more and more. Has one of my favorite pieces of music when she gets ready in front of the mirror. When I had my intro in these videos, the music that was used is from Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. That and as a kid, that always captivated me because it's a horror film, but it's also a montage like I would see in Rocky films and such. And then I didn't really like the character, and then her being this warrior. And, you know, Freddy is entertaining and imaginative dream sequences. Good special effects. I really liked Elm Street 4. 21. 22, The Hills of Eyes remake. I saw it in the theater. Loved the third act. When I started shaving my head, because I liked it better like this, but I used to have more hair. When I had more hair, I put on the right shirt, I would look like the lead guy in The Hills of Eyes remake. I would look like Doug. So it's, oh, that's me. And the third act is kind of like a revenge movie directed by Sergio Leone. With the way the score was by Tom and Dandy, and or maybe not Sergio Leone, like a spaghetti western, like a spaghetti. It's a horror film, but it's a spaghetti western. I don't know, just the way the music was, and like Alexander Aja, I thought did a really good job with like your hero, and he's missing a finger, and he's looking at his wedding ring, and he just goes to town on these villains, like retribution, violent, gory, practical effects. I liked the movie, but the third act really sold it to me. Just being the shadow of a guy with a shotgun, and this rising score, and the score seems like a Sergio Leone type of score, or like something you would see in spaghetti western, I should say. But I love the Hills of Eyes remake. 23, Alien, classic. 24, Arachnophobia. Love the film. Sad that it never got a special edition. Also elevated by fear. I don't like spiders. Just do not like spiders. Like, if it's a film like Eight-Legged Freaks, that's goofy, fun, CG, big, fine. But these, like, they use real spiders. I'm like, how the hell did they do that? And they kill you in one bite. And Jeff Daniels, John Goodman, they're very funny. They're very entertaining in the film. I love the fight between Jeff Daniels and the queen spider in the wine cellar. And the way that's directed, where you see, like, its possible point of view, and Jeff Daniels got the little flamethrower. Thought that was a cool battle. Love Arachnophobia. 25, Tremors 2 Aftershocks. I think that's the best direct-to-video sequel. I really do, because it honored the first. It had pretty good effects for a direct-to-video sequel. Fred Ward got to be the lead, and he did a wonderful job. And they added something to it, which I thought was interesting, was the graboids. They give birth to these little shriekers that are heat seekers. Michael Gross, I think, had even more to do compared to the first film. And you have like that cool gun. Yeah, I love Tremors 2. And I'm sorry I'm going through this so quick, but it's 50 movies, and I can't talk about them too much, as it'd be like, it'd kill my voice. But I love Tremors 2. Number 26, Fright Night, the original Fright Night. My second favorite vampire film. Love Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent. I thought William Radsdale did a good job as the lead. I love the Rear Window, but it's with a vampire aspect. Chris Sarandon, like, good cast, genuine fun humor. It's a really solid special effects. Just a fun time. 27, Shocker, speaking of fun, Mitch Pileggi having a ball. That's the way it is. Peter Bird, I thought, did a good job. I mean, it's always looked at as a bad ripoff of Elm Street. Well, I think the film's entertaining. Um, the ending, you just say, is a bit sappy with the love story. I'm fine with that. I thought it was, that sappiness in a way was endearing. Maybe I'm okay with a bit of sap, especially maple, but I'm fine with that compared to a lot of movies today. And great soundtrack. You are the sword, I am the stone. I would say that's my favorite song on the soundtrack. Again, just entertaining. Found it entertaining. I like that a guy was the lead. Because usually it's typically a girl that's the lead. So it was nice to have a guy as a lead, you know, in that type of film. 28, the original April Fool's Day. I don't want to give the ending away, but I thought the ending was the kind of film and the title. And such a likable cast, from Amy Steele to Clayton Rohner to Thomas F. Wilson. I thought the cast really worked well together. I think you have a really eerie story by, I think, Charles Bernstein. And like I said, I thought the twist was actually surprising and perfect. And gave a big smile to me. I'm like, yes, this, if you don't do that type of ending, this is the film to do that with. I know Scream Factory came out with the Blu-ray. I never got the Blu-ray because I thought the cover sucked with all the dolls. I know that's in the movie, but that doesn't mean that should be the cover. And number two, the fucking... the features seem lame. Just seem lame as fuck. That's just to me. So but I do really enjoy that film. That's number 28. 29, The Relic. Monster in a museum. I like the setup. It was cool to see Tom Sizemore chance to be the lead and as a good guy, because usually he's a bad guy and maybe a supporting role, or even if he is a good guy, it's a small role. It's not many times he got to be the star of a film. And it was cool that he got to be in a creature feature directed by Peter Hyams, very underrated director. He did Time Cop, he did Stay Tuned with John Ritter, he did Outland with Sean Connery, 2010, the sequel to 2001, very underrated director. Definitely a fairly dark film visually. That's because Peter Hyams likes it that way, cinematography wise. But again, it does create a nice mood to it. I'm not big on Penelope Ann Miller as the lead actor. I much prefer like Mira Sorvino, who did Mimic. I kind of wish Mira Sorvino was in here instead of Penelope Ann Miller, but she's serviceable. But yeah, I love the creature design when you get to see it. Some of Stan Winston's work. And again, Monster in the Museum, kind of a cool idea. Simple but effective. And they definitely had a budget behind it. And when it came out, it bombed. Which is too bad, but I always liked The Relic. Number 30, Death Machine. That's another... I guess you would call it a creature feature, but the creature's made of metal because it's a weapon. But it has these big teeth. It's set loose by this bad man played by Brad Dourif in this skyrise building. And a few people are in there. Some people who are eco-terrorists trying to do the right thing. And then other people, they're kind of trapped in there trying to survive. And it does have a very quirky sense of humor. I think when people watch it the first time, they're going to be caught off guard. But again, if you're okay with a quirky sense of humor, it actually, I think it's pretty funny. But also has some good action set pieces. I mean, wow, they utilized the budget fairly well. And it's Stephen Norrington. This is the film he did before Blade. So it showed what he could do with a low budget. He did some pretty good action sequences. And some scenes that are definitely inspired by anime. Like when the one guy gets this suit on, that's also a part of a weapon thing, and he's like shooting missiles, and you see like a point of view of the missile hit the metal creature and it flies back. That's like something out of like an anime type of thing. So I do think there was some inspiration from there. So I do like Death Machine quite a bit. 31, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I thought it was a really good concept, intriguing concept. I thought they did a good job with the two leads. It was cool, like, the two guys who usually would be the villain. This time, it's the innocent kids who are the villain. And they're the villain because they misjudge and they just... which, there's definitely some underlying themes you could get into that. But at the end of the day, it's a horror comedy, fairly violent. And you have these group of college kids who just assume shit, assume these are villains, don't bother to communicate, and get their sorry asses killed. Very unique. I mean, wow, I haven't seen a film like this done before, and just loved Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I think, yeah, that's probably like the newest film on the list so far. That was, what, 2010 or so? I forget what year it was, actually. 32 and 33, The Collection, The Collector. I put the sequel ahead of it because the sequel, I think, is the perfect ending. And there was talks of a Collector 3, they were making it, and then they shut down. And apparently it's abandoned. And yes, it's sad that they lost jobs, but there's a part of me that's like, yes! No Collector 3, don't need it. You would ruin the ending of the second film. Just let it go. Let it go. Just please let it go. So I'm like, good, glad. Don't fuck it up. Don't need it fucked up. So I'm glad. To me, The Collection ended it. Those films I like more than the Saw films. Because The Collection, you have Josh Stewart as your lead. He's a thief who goes in to do a job, but then he's, in the first film, it is like if Kevin McAllister was a villain from Home Alone, and he grew up to be this guy, to create all these traps. So there's all these traps within one house you gotta deviate through. Josh Stewart, his conscience, his morality, goes back to the house to save this little kid, his hero moment. And then The Collection, even more so. The Collection is kind of like Aliens, where it's more action. A group of people pretty much kidnap Josh Stewart to go find this missing woman. I think The Collection upped the ante. And yeah, The Collection, The Collector, I just really enjoy, love. 34, Body Parts with Jeff Fahey, underrated film. 35, Session 9, very creepy movie. Love the setting. I think it's rich with atmosphere. Number 36, The Shining, Jack Nicholson for the win. 37, The Tunnel. Again, I liked it because I liked the characters. I liked especially the guy who was the cameraman. I liked that it was found footage, but it was also like a documentary. So like you would see the footage, but then you would hear the people talk about what was going on. So you get why they did this, why they did that. Some people say, well, that affects the suspense, but to me, it just made the story more interesting. Does they do this? Oh, this is why. This is how. So it's like watching a nice creepy program, like a true crime story type of program, which I was fine with. Because, yeah, I grew to like, I thought the acting was good. I grew to like the characters. I thought for the low budget, they picked a good setting, the sewer tunnel system. Yeah, really enjoyed it. 38, Army of Darkness. Shit, I forgot. Number 11 was the Blair Witch Project. Wow, I completely forgot that. I went from 10 to 12. I just realized that. 1, Aliens. 2, Predator 2. 3, Leviathan. 4, The Blob. 5, Tremors. 6, Predator. 7, The Thing. 8, Jacob's Ladder, 1990. 9, the original Dawn of the Dead. 10, The Hitcher. 11, Blair Witch Project. I completely skipped from 10 to 12. The number 11 is the Blair Witch Project. I saw that in the... Not in the theater, I saw that on VHS when it debuted. Which was like 2 months or 3 months after... Which seemed very quick back then. But maybe it was... Yeah, I mean, I guess 3 months is typical, but it just seemed really quick back then. Fuck, it's on VHS already. And I had never seen a film like that. I had never seen a found footage film. It was new, it was unique. I really got into it. I felt like the fourth member of that group. It felt real to me. I knew it wasn't real, but I liked the experience. I still think it's simplicity at its finest, the Blair Witch Project, in my opinion. And I did like an hour-long review on the channel back today. It's still up. So if you want to know more in-depth thoughts on the Blair Witch Project, just type it in on my channel. I have like an old, like 10-year-old, 1-hour review of it. So number 11, Blair Witch Project, 12 Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, 13 Maximum Overdrive, 14 End of Days, 15 Split Seconds, 16 Deep Rising, 17 Watchers 2, 18 Jaws, 19 Evil Dead 2, 20 From Dusk Till Dawn, 21 Elm Street 4 Dream Master, 22 Hills Have Eyes Remake, 23 Alien, 24 Arachnophobia, 25 Tremors 2, 26 Fright Night, 27 Shocker, 28 April Fool's Day, 29 The Relic, 30 Death Machine, 31 Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, 32 The Collection, 33 The Collector, 34 Body Parts, 35 Session 9, 36 The Shining, 37 The Tunnel, 38 Army of Darkness, which is more comedy than horror, but there's a little horror aspects, but it means Bruce Campbell saying some of the best lines. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun. This is my boomstick. I do wish it was gorier, like Evil Dead 1 and 2. I still wish there was a bit more of that horror aspect and less of the evil fantasy. But there's still horror aspects. Yoshibish. Let's go. It's still the third Evil Dead film. And yeah, I like Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 2 is my favorite, but Army of Darkness is a lot of fun. And you really didn't need any more Evil Dead stuff after that. 39, The People Under the Stairs. One of my favorite Wes Craven films. I love the little kid fool. I love the house, how there's traps in the walls and the intricacies of this house. And yes, you could go in the social commentary that actually works. The rich versus the poor. Again, social commentary that can actually work. Unlike a fucking film of today. Number 40, As Above, So Below. I know it's a newer film, but it's a newer film that really surprised me. I like that it was a found footage mixed in with a Tomb Raider adventure flick. I really got into the whole... The lead girl I didn't think was an OP because she still failed. Like, she's supposed to be acknowledging, studied in all these languages and artifacts, but she still had fears to overcome, like the death of her dad. She was still floundering at the end, almost drowning in blood. I still saw more weakness in her compared to like Rey in Star Wars movies. Yeah, really liked As Above. I just was rather surprised by that film. I liked the catacombs under France, which is a real catacomb with all these bones and stuff. Playing off your fears, which is nothing... It's been done before, but I thought it was done rather well in this. Has an ending that surprised me, because usually found footage films has one type of ending. This didn't. So yeah, I really liked that As Above, So Below. I was just a welcome surprise. 41, In the Mouth of Madness, great John Carpenter film. 42, Exorcist 3, to me, in my opinion, the only Exorcist film I like. I love George C. Scott. I love Brad Dourif. I think their scenes together are powerhouse acting performances. I think William Peter Blatty, for a guy who didn't direct a whole lot, did an actual solid job with it. 43, the original Bud Blade Valentine, one of my favorite slashers. I love the outfit of Harry Warden. I love the kill, especially in the unrated cut with the pickaxe that it goes through the eyeball. See, he did that before Halloween Kills. But at least this, I like the setting. I like the atmosphere and the mines. I thought that created some nice mood. And I didn't mind the characters. And they were still smarter than anybody in Halloween Kills. Number 44, The Serpent and the Rainbow. One of Bill Pullman's best performances. Nice take on voodoo. 45, Jason Goes to Hell. Everyone hates the film, but I like that it was a Jason movie, but it was also a Terminator / The Hidden movie. I like that as a bit of an action movie. I like the lead, John D. LeMay. I really liked him. It's the goriest of the Friday the 13th films, which is nice to see. Really like Jason Goes to Hell. 46, Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. What more can be said? Cue the Dottin music. 47, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Especially now I have the uncut version, because someone did like a fan cut with, it looks like a VHS, but it's like they took the uncut scenes with the movie. The whole thing looks like VHS, but it looks like an uncut. It's like if you found an uncut VHS tape. And love the gore. I like Laura Parlington. I like the telekinetic spiel. Made it at least a bit more interesting. And Kane Howard's Jason. I love the look of Jason. I love that he's broken down. I think John Carpenter did a great job with that. It's a fun slasher when you watch the unrated version. 48, John Carpenter's The Fog. One of my favorite ghost stories. Very moody. Very, very... atmosphere really appeals to me in the film. They make it feel like, you know, the fog going across the plains, and John Carpenter's music, and you have like Jamie Lee Curtis and Hal Holbrook and Tom Atkins and oh god, from Swamp Thing, Adrienne Barbeau. Wonderful cast, moody atmosphere. Always liked The Fog. 49, Event Horizon. I'm not big on... I guess Lawrence Fishburne's character goes to hell, because when that thing goes in, that means Lawrence Fishburne went with him. That means he's suffering in hell. If that wasn't the case, Event Horizon would be higher on the list, but I love a haunted house in space. I thought that was a cool idea. Like Hellraiser in space, this is a better one than Hellraiser 4. Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne, I like the cast. I think Paul W. Anderson did a great job. It's a good-looking movie. Other than, yes, there's some CGI, like when the things are in the air floating, that doesn't work. But the design of the ship looks really cool. I did the whole R-rated haunted house in space. I thought that was the neatest idea. Sadly, I did not pick up the Blu-ray. I think it's out of print. Actually, I'm going to double check that. And number 50, Halloween 2. Not John Carpenter. Sequel to John Carpenter's film, the original Halloween 2. Again, slasher film I always enjoyed. I love the hospital setting. I like that Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis got to be in the same scene together. Always enjoyed Halloween 2. To me, it's my favorite Halloween film. It's the first one I saw. And I thought it was the best Michael Myers looked. It had an ending, a finale, which I think fit well. And overall, really liked Halloween 2. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.